The beginning of a true love. In the spring of 1908, Winston Churchill was lingering in his bath one evening at home in Mayfair. He was grumpy about the prospect of a dinner party he fully expected to be a bore. His private secretary, Eddie Marsh, tactfully reminded him of the many kindnesses of Lady Street Helier, the grand society hostess who had invited him, and, after making more fuss, he rose from his bathwater to dress. He arrived late when the other guests were already eating their main course of chicken. Amongst them was Clementine, who had been invited at the last minute to make up the numbers after another woman had fallen ill. She had been reluctant to accept, feeling tired after a day earning her living teaching French, and was also worried about having nothing suitable to wear. The only spare seat at table was the one next to her, and so Churchill sat down rather grumpily at her side. Soon, however, the pair were deep in animated conversation. They explored the current ructions and rifts in politics and the issues and characters involved. They debated the then novel ideas about establishing a proper welfare state to help the poor. They shared thoughts and observations on France, a country they both loved with a passion. They discussed history, biography, and philosophy, and yet always there was more to say. Soon, the rest of the table seemed to fade away as they had only eyes and ears for each other. The other diners looked on in amazement. Churchill was ignoring all the male dignitaries present to talk exclusively to Miss Helier, who looked as if she were in raptures. Much later, Clementine would be asked if she thought Churchill handsome that night. She replied tactfully but tellingly that she had found him very interesting. Looks counted for little with her. Here at last was a man who led an exciting life on the public stage, one that she was excluded from on her own account because of her gender. But if she could help him, perhaps she could still be a part of it too. Perhaps she too could make a difference emotionally too. There was an instant connection. Both had endured largely loveless childhoods. Winston's mother Jenny had also often been absent and, like Lady Blanche, engaged in a life of frantic sexual intrigue at the expense of her children. Both had had cold and distant fathers. Both had become adept at hiding their consequent insecurities behind a facade, his behind apparent unfailing self-belief, hers behind a carefully maintained distance. They were both in search of comfort as well as excitement. Both had endured hardships and heartache and yet were ready for great challenges in life. 6 months later, they were married, and Lady Blanche was canny enough to realize that Clementine might not be destined for a rich and easy life, but she had nevertheless finally found her perfect match.